All right, so now without further ado, I will turn the time over to Gareth to start off the sessions today. Gareth, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the warm introduction, Evelyn, and welcome everyone, and good morning to you for joining us for the Sage Enterprise Intelligence webinar today. As Evelyn had mentioned, today we want to talk to you about a fully comprehensive BI solution for your Sage solution, your Sage 300 in particular. As we've already been introduced, my name's Gareth Marks and I'm the Director of Business Development. I work closely with the Sage Asia team as one of the key ISVs in the region. On the line, we also have Jasdeep Singh, who is our pre-sales manager, and he'll be running you through an actual demonstration of all of the key features that we'll talk about today throughout our presentation. So what we're going to go through today is I'm going to give an introduction to the solution and where we fit, as well as highlighting some of the key features and business benefits that Sage Enterprise Intelligence will offer for your solution. And then I'll hand over to Jasdeep, and he'll actually go through and demonstrate all of that to you as a customer, business partner, and Sage colleagues on the line. As we had mentioned, please keep all of your chats in the chat box or keep any questions for yourself to be unmuted at the end. We do always appreciate and we'll take the time to answer any of your questions at the end of the session. So let's begin today, and what you're all here to see is Sage Enterprise Intelligence. So what is Sage Enterprise Intelligence, you may ask? It's really a fully integrated business intelligence and data management solution that helps organizations like yourselves make better informed decisions. And all of this is based on real-time data. Our goal is to really help all the end users, empower them with a simple interface that allows them to access and analyze data really in a self-sufficient manner. And that's going to eliminate the need for all your disparate tools and specialized skills. You'll be able to see this throughout the presentation, the simple ease of use with the interface. With our solution, we can really help you do quite a few key things, and we really have a couple of key features that we like to highlight. And starting off with gaining visibility and insight. And what does that mean to you as a business, and how can you gain visibility? We don't only talk about viewing data and seeing data, as we know how important that is, but we talk about viewing data from an enterprise-wide view, giving you a full holistic view of all of your organizational data in one simple form. We also give you the ability to report on all of your data in real time, but in the platform that you choose to do so. So one of the key features that come with Sage Enterprise Intelligence, or as we call it SEI, is that we have 3 interfaces. And as an end user, you can choose whichever interface best suits you, whether you want to use the web platform with all the nice dashboards and infographics, etc., or you want to be able to use our Excel add-in, where we can actually pull and retrieve real-time data and using the power of Sage Enterprise Intelligence combined with Excel. In addition to that, we have our mobile platform that's device agnostic. That can recognize, and you know in today's world how key that is to be able to see data on the fly, people on the road and wherever you're working from in the world. We also have the ability to manage systems from really being kind of hybrid on-premise and cloud solutions. So what that means for you is if you have a third-party application that's potentially in the cloud, or you're looking at taking your Sage solution in the cloud, SEI can connect to it whether it's on both and can actually do a hybrid of both, can connect to some on-prem and some cloud. The choice is yours and really limitless. When we talk about our next key feature, and one of the things that we really can't highlight enough, and again, you'll see it throughout the presentation, is that our goal is to empower all users. Because in today's world, as you know, data is really the most valuable resource that we have today. But what is that data without giving the users access to it and allowing them to actually do what they want with that data and how they want to view that data? So with SEI, we really empower you to be able to make those decisions faster without having to rely on your IT. You'll be able to create any new reports, dashboards, customize any report that you have, set up sharing options. You can access the data from anywhere. And something that's key is that you can view it in multiple languages as well. So you can view the data the way that you want to see it. When we talk about viewing data and really sharing that data, one of the key things that's used when we talk about data from a BI point of view is that it's very key and important to be able to share that, to be able to, how can you work to allow for collaboration within your organization, within your suppliers, within your different business partners that you have. With SEI, we have the ability to distribute all reports for you to share all information, but not just share that information, export to PDF, which is one of the options. But you can set up conditions. You can set up schedules. You can set up timely reports. You can only send a report, for example, if your inventory block drops below a certain level and you want to send a report, because once you hit that certain level, you need to advise the buyer to buy more stock so that you're always ahead of where you need to be. We can send that report over. If you have a sales rep selling below margin and you want to be informed as a sales director, you can get informed the second that happens. Or of course, you can just send out all your financial reports on a weekly basis, Monday morning before your exco meeting, however you choose to use it, set with the preconditions, security, KPIs, etc. When I look at what's next is we talk about managing data. One of the key things in today's world is we all talk about big data and how can we manage it and what can we use. With SEI, we have our ETL tool, which is a part of our data sync. And what that helps for you as an organization is it's really ideal for companies while they're busy migrating data from any legacy systems. As you know, in moving to Sage 300 or pulling in any third-party legacy data, it's always difficult to clean that data, to cleanse it, to be able to make it all really cohesive. So that's one of the key things that we do with our full ETL platform. We can also consolidate data between different databases. So with Sage 300, you have multiple different databases that you connect to, and you can really pull all of that information together, allowing you to have one view of the data. And again, as I mentioned, talking to different systems, moving between the cloud, and all of this can be done without impacting your live system when putting reports. Very key. Once we manage all that data and we pull it all together, how as you as a business can you really understand that you achieve a quick ROI? So one of the key things that we like to highlight here is that when working with the Sage Enterprise Intelligence over, I guess, any of our competitive BRs, you get all of our pre-built templates without needing any other BR solution to use. You'll have access to that information. So everything that Jasdeep will show you today, you'll be able to use from day one once implementing the software. That all comes free to you without having to customize anything. Of course, if you want to customize it, you'll see how easy that is to do. The solution is very quick to implement and learn, allowing you to see business benefits immediately and allowing you as a business to make better decisions going forward. And again, you can also easily transition over from any traditional reports that you have and really putting that into SEI the way that you want to. If you have your cash flow, your balance sheet that you already have, and you want to be able to go and replicate that, SEI can do that very easily. Lastly, what we look at today is, before I hand over to Jasdeep, is one of the key things where we talk about data and really managing the data and seeing all of that from a quick ROI is how do we do all that? We use a couple of different platforms, and one of the key ones that you'll see today throughout the presentation is the universal data model. What the universal data model allows you to do is connect to multiple different applications and puts that in a predefined cube. So in the business intelligence world, creating cubes, it becomes quite complex and difficult to do. We actually have standard cubes that come with finance, sales, and CRM, also for inventory, manufacturing, etc., but not as relevant in this market. Particularly from a finance and sales point of view, it's key to be able to have data from multiple different places all together and allowing you to use a couple of the predefined reports, like you can use your AR and AP historical, you can do currency conversions. You have multiple different role-based dashboards as a CFO, as a finance manager, as a sales manager, looking at over 185 KPIs. And not only that, we also have forecasting ability. There's not a full forecasting tool, but with all this access to data, you can actually use SEI to do a bit of forecasting across the board. So with that being said, I know it's a lot of information, but we want to try and highlight as much of the key features as we can throughout the presentation. And Jasdeep's going to go over everything that I just spoke about today. So with that, I would like to hand over to Jasdeep. And again, please remember, if you have any questions, keep them in the chat box. And I do look forward to chatting to you at the end of the presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Gareth. And thank you so much, everyone. Very glad to have you all on the call joining us today. Just wanted to make sure, Gareth, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can, Jaz.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So my name is Jasdeep Singh, and I'm a pre-sales engineer for Sage Enterprise Intelligence, and I will be walking you through this product demonstration today. So Like Gareth mentioned, if you will have any questions during the course of the presentation, please feel free to type in your questions right in the chat box. We will be happily addressing them after the presentation. So we will begin with the first platform of SEI, which is going to be the web application. And you can use this on any of the preferred platforms, any of the browsers that you prefer to use it on, as most of them support HTML5. That's the technology the application is based on. It's also available in multiple languages, Chinese, Cantonese, and then Thai as well. Some of the templates are also present in Thai. And each SEI user gets a unique username and password. And while I'm logging in as the admin, since that will give me the access to all the things that I want to show you, I must also mention that there are different reports which can be configured for different users who log in. For example, if you only want to focus on financials, we can totally configure that as the reports which will be available to you as you log in. And as we log in, I will take a quick moment to take you through this layout here and the user interface of the Sage Enterprise Intelligence. On the left-hand side of the screen, what we see is the command center, which comes with various tabs on the top. The first one here is the data models and views, which is basically the repository for all out-of-the-box templates, which are two different sets of templates. One is a real-time template, which is tailored to the Sage 300 ERP system. So we can see the various modules and folders here for accounts payables, receivables, finance, sales analysis, project job costing, inventory, purchasing, and these all folders further contain their own set of data models which graphs and report visualizations which come along with it. We also have access to another set of templates, which is called the universal data model, which is in fact, the last thing Gareth highlighted in his presentation, where end users will be able to bring in the data not only from Sage 300, but they could also connect to other third-party softwares. If you have a system on the cloud, such as a CRM software, we have the ability, with the help of universal data model, to collect the data from that software on the cloud, or even something that is on your premises, such as the data present in the Excel sheets or any other legacy you might want to connect and report on. We will be able to connect that and report on that with the help of the universal data model. And there are different modules for the users which they can use readily with the help of UDMs. For example, we have role-based reports and industry standard KPIs for finance, sales, inventory, and customer relationship management as well. So what we will do now, we will open some of these reports and have a closer look at what these reports actually look like and what is the basic principle behind them. So I'm opening one of the financial reports here, which is the detailed transaction. And as this report loads here, I will quickly take a moment to explain you the layout of these reports. So each one of these worksheets or reports, as we call them in SEI, are based on the principle of groups, pivots, and columns. And the data that we see in these worksheets really depends on what figures or what fields, in fact, we actually put in these shells and in what order. So to give you an example, we see in the groups shelf right here, the first field is the fiscal year. And then we see that this fiscal year is mentioned here as 2020, and that's the one that I have filtered on already. And then we have further this fiscal year, which is drilled down to the fiscal periods. So these are the various fiscal periods lined up here. And we can then further drill down onto that to see the next field, which will be the segment codes, which are coming directly from Sage 300 as defined there. And these segment codes further contain the different GL account numbers. And even we can further drill down on the various raw level details, such as what is the journal primary reference for this particular account number, what is the entry number, the transaction posting date, so on and so forth. So the more fields that we add here, the more we will be able to drill down onto these reports. So there's no real limits to what is the lowest level of drill down that you can go into. On the other side of the report, we have the metrics, such as the source currency amount, the journal transaction amount, so on and so forth. Now, this is a pre-existing report which comes with these fields pre-fed into this report. But if you further want to slice and dice these reports and modify them and see them the way we want to see them, we can totally do that as well. So for example, if I want to get rid of some of the fields here, I can simply hover onto them, click on the cross, and they will be eliminated. And then we will be left with only two columns in this report, which will be the currency amount and the general transaction. Then I can further go into the dimensions and measures, which is in fact one of the tools in this toolbar here on the right-hand side, where I have access to the various dimensions and the measures which are readily available for us to simply grab and drag and drop into the report and see the data and more information about the postings. So for example, in this report, since the data that we are looking at is consolidated, Sage 300, multiple companies, so here I will be bringing in a company code field, for example, and I'll simply drag and drop that and keep it as a first field. And the next time the report will load, it will show me the data for both the companies put together. Then I can further put this company code if needed and bring that to the pivots, and that will show me entirely different visualization on this report, which will keep the company code side by side. And then I can go ahead and compare the postings for the fiscal year, fiscal periods, and further drill down even to the segment codes and account numbers. We can also see the totals of the different columns and see consolidated numbers on this report. So for example, here if we go in the worksheet properties, and I will quickly select the show and pivot option for both these columns. And what that is going to do is going to create a new third column, which is the totals, which is going to add up the postings for SAM Inc., SAM Limited, and give us the totals for each one of these rows here. So that's how easy it is to slice and dice the data, bring in the new fields the way you want it, and keep them exactly at the place you want to see them, and drill down to any level of details. Now, some of the advanced functionalities which come along with these reports, and I will open some of the reports from the universal data model in this case, and we can see some industry standard reports such as income statement, trial balance, balance sheet, posting analysis, cash flow. So let's go ahead and open one of the balance sheet reports here. And this is another feature that I in fact would like to highlight here is the selection page. So we can actually set this page up and enter the fields as needed for what exactly we would like to see the data for. So if we want to see the fiscal year 2018 in our report data, I can simply enter that amount and confirm. And once the report will load, we will see the filter right here at the bottom, which will show us what exact fiscal year we are looking at, and then this will load this balance sheet report for us. Now, this is a standard industry standard balance sheet report, which comes along with different reporting levels, such as assets, liabilities, stockholders' equity, which are further consisting of their own sub-levels of assets or liabilities. And then we can further drill down to see the account codes and go all the way down to the document numbers. Another thing that we see here in this report is the column formatting on the different columns. In fact, in this case, it's only one column ending balance, where we have applied various business rules to highlight the numbers based on the business rules that we define by ourselves. So to do that, it's very easy. In fact, ending balance, we directly go into the corresponding column here, which is the ending balance. I right click on that to show you what we actually did here. And we are simply comparing the cell value, and if it is greater than the ending balance from the last year, so we are comparing the two different columns, and I would like to see that with a green color in the background with an icon here, and if it is lower, we would like to see that with a red background. And we can set as many rules here with the help of this interface here, which allows us to compare against a constant value or another column within the report, or even a global variable. Define our conditions, choose the icon of our choice, and finally the background color. So that's exactly how we have set the different business rules on this report to highlight the numbers which matter the most for us. All right, so with that, I will also now be showing how easy it is to create a report from the scratch. Although we have hundreds of different reports which are provided out of the box with SEI, you might actually ask yourselves, can I actually create a report on my own? The answer is definitely yes. So to create a new report on your own, we simply need to go into the data models of our choice. In this case, I will choose finance, and we have an option called New View, which presents over 100 different visualizations for us that we might want to choose and create the report or a different graph or a chart. So we have different visualizations which range from the bar charts, line charts, different pie charts, even the maps. We have integration with the Google Maps and also the maps for the rest of the countries, and some more advanced charts such as combination, financial, polar, radar, and so on and so forth. In this case, I will go and pick worksheet as an example. I will give it a name, and this section right here makes it very easy for us to define the structure of this report. In the columns, I will simply go ahead and enter the metrics or the measures that I want to include in this report. So I will try to include the opening balance, and if I know the names of these fields already on the top of my mind, I can simply type them in and they will show up. So what I'm trying to create here is a trial balance report. So I will include opening balance and then further included debit, credit, and also the ending balance. Done with these columns here, and now is the time to define the various grouping levels or the drill down levels. To what level of details do we want to see the data for in this report? So here I will choose fiscal year, fiscal period, and account code. Simple as that. We have chosen our fields and defined the structure. We will confirm, and this will result in the loading of this report right here. Now we see all the different years for which we have the data for, but then we can very easily go ahead and filter on the years that we might want to keep in this report. So 2018 and 19, for example, I select these 2 years and add them to the filter, and then the report loads, and then I can drill down to the levels that I actually put in while defining this report. So fiscal periods followed by the account codes, and here is our report. Once done with this, we have the options to save the changes or save these reports as brand new ones. So if I click on Save As, give it a quick name, and then we have the options to actually publish it for different users, whether it is for public or whether it is for a specific user. And that's where, again, the security measures come in again. We can even hide certain columns from various users. So if there's a margin percentage column or a posting for a certain year that should not be seen by everyone, we can also set that up and hide that column from the different users. All right, so with this, I will shift the focus towards the next tab, which is in fact the dashboards. And here we will have a look at some of the sales dashboards. So just like the various worksheets that we saw, which are delivered out of the box, we also have over 100 different dashboards which are provided out of the box with the real-time templates and also with the universal data model. So in this example, like I mentioned, I will open one of the sales dashboards. And while this dashboard loads, I will like to mention that these dashboards are really powerful as they contain a lot of information. So the different visualizations and reports that we saw earlier, they can all be brought in together and put in this empty slate, which is the dashboard, and give us the full story of the business. So here in this dashboard, we see a lot of different KPIs, such as invoice quantity, the invoice margin for this year, and compare it against the last year. Then we have the top 10 products performance this year versus last year, where the bars in the blue are showing us the actuals versus the red slots, which are showing us the amount from the last year. And then we also have the integration with the map right here, which is showing different states for where we have the sales in that particular year, 2018, and the calendar period 7. This is just not a pretty image to look at. We can very easily manipulate the information on this dashboard by simply choosing the different filters here on the top. So for example, if I go and pick 2019, for example, as my calendar year and apply that, we will see the data readily changes and show us what is available as in terms of the data for the analysis on this dashboard for that particular year. I'll switch back to 2018 because now I would like to also show the ability of connecting to the underlying data which is present within the worksheets by spotting something on these dashboards. So in this particular view, we see that the sales for the product aspirin have been actually the lowest as compared to its performance from the last year, as you can see the gap between the two here. Now, I want to further investigate what has been happening with the sales of aspirin. So I can click on the bar which represents this product here and link this to any of the worksheets which are present within SEI. So I will go and pick the worksheet of my choice where I think I can get my answers. So I'll click on Sales Summarized. And what this will do, this will open a new window where I will be able to see the underlying data behind that visualization. So it filters on the exact same product, which is the aspirin. We were seeing that in the dashboard. And then further, I can drill down on that to see what are the various cities in which aspirin has been sold. So these are the various cities it has been sold in. And by simply looking at this data, I can clearly say Hamburg has actually been the city where we have the lowest sales for this product. Now, I also further want to investigate who is the sales rep in the city of Hamburg. I can then go into dimensions and measures. And then this time I'm going to pick my sales rep ID and keep it right after the build to city. And when I further drill down on this product, go to Hamburg again. And this time when I drill down on Hamburg, since we already now added a new field, we have the data for the sales rep here. Now I can see here the Hans Growth is the sales rep. And now as a step further from here, where the ability to interact and collaborate with the teams actually comes as a part of the Sage Enterprise Intelligence, I can also go into the sharing option right here, which comes with a bunch of different options. For example, I could export this report in the format of my choice, such as PDF, Excel, HTML, depending on what exactly we want to do with it. Or we could also do a send comment. What this feature will actually do, it will take a screenshot of the exact same report, and then we can pick a marker, highlight the number right here. In fact, Hans's name, the number of the sales he has actually done in this city of Hamburg, and put any remarks here. And then finally send it out as an email to Hans and ask him if he needs any help with the sales in this particular city. And the exact remarks that we create in this report will be sent out as an attachment. So that's another great feature of collaborating with the teams. And then we further have a lot more options, such as printing these reports, doing a page setup on these reports. And one of the more advanced features, which also come with some of the latest and greatest features, is the subscription option. So we can actually subscribe to these reports. For example, if I click on that, I will actually be showing the more advanced side of that. So we can go into the administration section here, go into the scheduler, and create a new job here. So we will be able to choose an action on how we want to receive these reports by exporting it and emailing it directly to our email addresses, or simply saving it on a shared network drive. If that's the case, we will provide a shared network path here, and anybody who has the access to that path will be able to go there and fetch the reports. And then we can also create something which is called a reporting pack. A reporting pack is a bundle of all the different reports that we want to put together in one format, let's say a PDF format, and send it out to our teams. So if we want to include a financial reporting pack and keep all the different financial reports in it, we could filter on that, and it will show us all the financial reports available within SEI and include them here. And we could even do a mix and match. So if I also want to include some of the sales reports along with financials, I can totally do that too. If there are any of the reports sitting in Excel, we could also bring them in and add them here. And then finally giving it a finishing touch by giving it a name, adding a cover page, which gives the users the ability to add their company logo here and give a formal description to make it more presentable as a document. Then adding the table of contents, which will list all the different reports, and finally select the users who should be receiving these reports. Now, this could be an individual user, or it could be also a group of different users who share the same privacy and security settings. So in this case, let's just choose admin user, for example. and finally set the schedule. So let's say if you want to receive this report at 9 a.m. every Monday and every Thursday of the week, you can select multiple days or multiple months of the year. We have different calendar types right here, and we can set our own schedule, hit save, and then leave it to SEI to automatically send out these reports with the updated numbers, of course, every time the reports will be sent out. Now, the end result of what a reporting pack will look like when it is sent out to the users will look like this. We could add a company logo here, and this logo here is Sage Enterprise Intelligence since we are talking about this product, but this logo is totally customizable and you can add your own company logos. And then we can have this table of contents right here, following which we will have the various reports. Here's the financials with balances APAR, and then a visual comparing the sales and forecast, followed by some of the balance sheet reports and cash flow report. So that was actually about all the different abilities that we have when it comes to sharing and distributing these reports and dashboards with our teammates. Now that brings me back to some of the more advanced reports which are available with the help of Universal Data Model. Now with the Universal Data Model for finance, we have some of the advanced reports such as AP and AR, which are offering us the historical aging reports. I will open one of these here, the aging report for AR, and I will filter on the year. So the interesting thing about these reports here is that they come with aging brackets. So in this report, I will bring in the customer ID as my first field to see all the different customers lined up right here. And then I will slide through this report to see those aging brackets. So here we see the intervals of 1 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days, and so on and so forth, to clearly see which of the customers are yet to do the payment towards us and how long it has actually been that they have not made those payments. So we can clearly see the amounts here and the corresponding customers. The same principle applies for the AP reports where we owe the money to our vendors. So another thing about these reports is also the intervals right here, which are totally customizable according to the net business payment terms that you have set up for your own businesses, for example. So if it is net 45 days or net 90 days, these aging brackets can be customized as per your needs. On the other side, we also have the forecasting side, which comes along with the Universal Data Model for sales. So this data model right here offers us the ability to create the forecast, and we have different options to do that by quarter, by month, or by week. So let's say if we create a forecast by month. So a user could come in here and open this gadget, which is called the View Info Pages, and create their own forecast from the scratch. So they could give a forecast ID, which could be simply the name of the forecast. And here, this will be the forecast name for which year they want to create this forecast. So let's say 2021 is the year for which we want to create this forecast. Revision number we could keep as 1. And we then have the option on the types of the years, whether it's a fiscal year or a calendar year that we want to choose. And further, is this forecast based on the amount or the quantity? So we have those options as well. And the year option right here will allow the users to pick the data from the last previous years and keep that as a reference here, and finally include a percentage increase that we are expecting on that last previous year to create the forecast for the coming year. So once that all is defined right here, we click on generate, and then that results in a worksheet which is activated with the data entry feature, which we will see in a moment. So I will filter on this. And the end result of a forecast when it is created will look something like this, where we have the different customers here, and then we have the forecast created all the way from period N to period N plus 11 with the different figures that we see in this report, which have been increased by the percentage increase that we defined right there. And then further, if we want to do any manual tweaks on this report, change the numbers manually on this report, for example, We can totally do that by going and clicking on the cell where we want to make the change. So let's say this amount right here, which is 5,000. I think I'm expecting a much better revenue on this particular line item for this product or this customer, and then I could increase it by 15,000. I enter that amount and it will save it right away and will also affect the top rows at the on the top right here. And since this is already activated with the data entry feature we just did and also the auto save mode, every time we click outside, it will automatically save the entries that we manually enter into this report. So once this forecast is actually created, then the users will have the ability to send it out for the approval by their managers. Managers will have the abilities such as what we will see in a moment, where they can reject, accept, or delete the forecasts. Once the forecast has been accepted, then it can be further sent out into the dashboards where we can compare the actuals versus the forecast. So we have out-of-the-box dashboards to do that as well. So I will open one of the forecast performance dashboards where we can clearly see the difference. So again, in this out-of-the-box dashboard where we are comparing the actual amount versus the forecast amount created based on the forecast that we created, and then we have the different visualizations right here. For example, the top 10 customers, again, the blue bars show us the actuals versus the forecast. So we can clearly see for which of the customers we have gone past our forecast amount. That is great, we have done so well. And for which of the customers we still need to do some more work. And right here in this visualization, I will be going ahead and choosing one of the filters here on the top, which is called the cutoff period, which will highlight the difference of the actuals versus forecast right away. So I chose the fiscal cutoff period as 3. And in this visualization, we can clearly see that the first 3 bars are showing us the actuals, and then the following bars are showing us the forecast based on what we created. So a lot of different features which come along with these dashboards to interact with each other as different visualizations and also further connect to the underlying data to investigate further and have more details about the figures that are presented in this dashboard. All right, so further right after this, I'm going into the next tab, which is called the report section here, which is another way of creating the reports within SEI. Now, what we saw before was an example of an income statement or a balance sheet report. I'm going to open an income statement report here, and we will notice right away a difference in the layout of this particular report. So I will filter on the data that I have the information for. And right here in this layout of the report, we can clearly see the difference as we have a title of the report on the top with some dynamic variables at the bottom, which is showing us what fiscal year and fiscal period we are looking at. And then each section here in this report is divided into subsections, such as sales has its own totals row, then cost of sales again has its own totals row, so on and so forth. And another latest feature and one in fact the very useful feature which has been recently added in this particular section is what we call a reporting tree. Now a reporting tree is, just to explain you what exactly it is a set of different filters which facilitates the filtering on these reports based on the hierarchy of the companies. So in a multi-company database such as Sage 300, where we have a lot of data coming from different entities as well, we could use this feature and see consolidated numbers, first of all, and that will show us the postings of the company at large right here. And then we can further open this tree and then set it up in a way that if we have multiple regions, we could go directly into the regions. It could be North America, for example, in this case, and then North America could have further company codes. So we can click on that particular company code and it will readily filter everything on this report to show us the postings for that particular company. Then we can further even go into the different site codes within that company or the department codes and then see the postings for that particular site or, or the department. Now, what we have and what we are seeing here is in fact an example based on the financials, but this reporting tree is not just limited to financials. It could also be used for the warehouse operations. It could also be used for the sales operations and managing and keeping a track of the sales and the margins on the different territories. So the sky is the limit when it comes to using this reporting tree feature right here, and the users in fact get the option to define this reporting structure based on their own company and keeping the different dimensions that they might want to keep in while designing this reporting tree. All right, so with that, I will conclude the presentation on the web application here, as I would now switch to show you the second platform of SEI, which is the Excel add-in. Now, Excel add-in which is another platform which is offered to the users, is a full-blown business intelligence solution within itself, as it offers a lot of different tools that we will see in a moment to create the reports such as these. So we have some sample reports here, such as financial performance, income statement, trial balance, balance sheet, some of the dashboards as well, which can be created by keeping some of the views together. And all of these reports have been created using the plugin, the add-ins here, which comes with over 25 different tools, which we can use to extract the data in the real time. And this could be coming from multiple data sources. It could be Sage 300. It could also be another system that you might want to connect to and create reports based off that. So further after that, we can use the formula wizard, which is another tool. And all these calculations which we see right here in these reports have actually been created by using this tool right here, which is the formula wizard. So when I click on this cell right here, we can see this big formula. It is actually not manually typed. It is taken care of with the help of the formula wizard. So when I go into the formula wizard by clicking this cell right here, we will see in a moment that what we see, that the data model, we have the option to pick and choose what data model that we want to work on, what is the field that we might want to bring in, and what is the operation that we will do on that particular field. So all the different mathematical operators such as sum, average, count, min, max, they are all listed right here. Then we can further go and choose different fiscal years, fiscal periods, and different filters that we might want to apply on this report. And that's exactly how all these reports have been created. And then we can use some other tools, such as the formula drill down. So if you want to do a formula drill down against account code 41100, we can click on that particular cell right there. We have the ability to select all the fields or very specific fields. Click OK. And now that will result in a new spreadsheet where we will actually see the drill down of that particular report. Let me just try it again. All right, so right here, we see the account code 41100, and then all the different postings which refer to this particular account code. We can also create the duplicate copies of these reports with the help of the duplicator, and then spread these reports based on different departments, different customer cost centers, different warehouse codes, or different company codes, and even fiscal periods. So for example, in this financial report, if I want to create multiple copies of this financial report spread across different fiscal periods, I could go in duplicator and then choose my data model, fiscal period, and select what and how many fiscal periods do I want to create it for. Let's say first 6, clicking on OK, and here I will define where is this fiscal period coming from. And this will result in 6 new spreadsheets right here at the bottom, as we can see, all of them keeping the exact same layout as the original financial analysis report and showing us the different numbers for each fiscal period. We can also use the pivot tables in the Excel add-in to dump the data directly into the pivot tables and then use it at any time, even if we are not connected to the internet anymore. Since the data is already stored into the pivot tables, it is ready for the analysis even while being on the go and not connected to the internet. So these were some of the most important features that I wanted to show you on the Excel add-in. Like I mentioned, it is a full-blown business intelligence solution within itself, which combines the power of Sage Enterprise Intelligence and the tools which are a gift from the Microsoft Excel, and combining both of them together to help us create wonderful reports which show us the information that we need. With that, I will conclude this presentation, and then we can now open the floor for some of the questions.
Thank you very much, Jasdeep. Sorry, go ahead, Evelyn.
All right. Thank you very much.